Hey, I thought I'd show you flowers of my Vanda hybrid. I believe that this is called Blue Magic. And as you can see, it is growing in my greenhouse in the side here. It is in between a window, south-facing window, and well, to be honest, it is so tall that there are not many other places where it could fit. There are so many flowers that it's difficult to count, to be honest. I believe that there are 13 flowers. As you can see, the plant is a very big plant. I received this plant about 3 or 4 years ago during the pandemic, and it has been so big that before I built this greenhouse, I was struggling to keep it hydrated. I would water it very often, but my previous place where I was living was very warm and dry, so I was really struggling. And then I decided to put it in this pot, which is very unusual. This is a glass pot, and I have obviously drilled some holes at the bottom of it so that the water can flow, but still it is tricky to water it because it retains a lot of moisture being this tall. I should have maybe provided a little bit more aeration. So overall, I wouldn't terribly recommend using a pot for your Vanda if you don't have to, but just know that I think that it's working. The tricky part is that I can't see any root growing inside this pot, which I find quite worrisome. A couple of leaves are getting a little bit yellow here, but I believe that that's relatively normal for all leaves to become yellow. You may have noticed this leaf is becoming yellow, but that's probably just mechanical damage happening here. So overall, I can't really see any roots growing, which has been in this pot now several months, so I would have thought that I would see some roots growing, but I can't see any. So in general, I would not recommend potting your Vanda. I guess there's a reason why people say it's not a good idea. The flowers are not scented and they are very big. This is probably one of the biggest flowers. This is the third time that this plants flowers for me. It's been doing pretty well, and it has now been growing this keiki for quite a while. I think it's been over a year, and to be honest, it is not growing too much. At first it grew a little bit, and it made a few leaves, as you can see, but then recently it's not been growing much, and there's been much more growth from the top here. The whole plant, including this flowers, is probably 1.5 meters tall. So yeah, it's true what they say. You should have space in your greenhouse and in your house for a Vanda if you want one. Other than that, I haven't found it to be terribly tricky to grow. The only problem is that if you do not put it in a pot, it is quite tricky to keep it hydrated.